Guys, welcome to Black Scout Survival Late Night Live. And this just came out moments ago that Iran state propaganda media put out this video here. If I can get up here. So this is says maybe. It has in English down there. You can see maybe. And they're petting what looks to be like a nuclear weapon. So this is obviously some type of cryptic threat. Okay, we're going to get more into this. It's just posted moments ago. Now, it also came out today. Vladimir Putin stated that Iran does have nuclear weapons.
Они существуют, ничего с ними не произошло. И в этой связи, мне кажется, было бы правильным всем вместе поискать пути прекращения боевых действий, потому что уровень доверия достаточно высокий между нашими странами. У нас очень добрые отношения с Ираном. Мы могли бы продолжить эту работу и обеспечить их интересы в этой сфере.
He says the factories do exist underground and they still exist. Okay. Now, Trump has authorized military strikes on Iran. Xi Jinping is flying war cargo into Tehran, and Iran's supreme leader just promised a surprise that the world will remember for centuries. And that can only be one thing, right? This is the beginning of war. It's the next phase of war that's already here. Now, President Trump met behind closed doors with senior aides and greenlit U.S. military strikes on Iran. The only thing stopping him, he's holding the final trigger to give Tehran one last shot at backing down.
Look, they should have made the deal. I had a great deal for them. They should have made that deal. 60 days we talked about it, and in the end they decided not to do it, and now they wish they did it. And they want to meet, but it's a little late to meet, but they want to meet.
Says a little late to meet. He didn't say it softly either, man. He told reporters he prefers to make the final decision at the last moment. Translation is don't make me do it. And in true Trump fashion, he dropped the direct message to Iran's top dog. He said, we know exactly where you are. You are the so-called supreme leader. We know where you're hiding. You're an easy target, but you're safe for now. Okay. Now you let that sit a minute. That's a warning shot meant to echo from Tehran to Beijing. Okay. So let me see here. Trump approves Iran attack plans, withholds final order. So he's pretty serious about it. Yeah, I'd say, wouldn't you? Now, Iran's not just de-escalating either. They're accelerating. You just saw the video I posted. They just posted this moments ago, right? And their state media had that chilling broadcast saying there's a surprise. Let me see if I got it here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. There's a surprise tonight that the world will remember for centuries. Man, that only means one thing to me, man, and that's not clickbait. That's not clickbait. That's strategic messaging. When a regime's backed in the corner, I've always said you never want to back a man in the corner. The Ayatollah followed up with this. He says that damage America will suffer will be far greater than any harm Iran may encounter. Okay. That ain't saber rattling again. That's a threat of homeland retaliation. And Washington knows it. Okay. Now, the U.S. sent out the sniffer plane. Not that one. Where is it at? Do I have it here? Yeah. They sent out the sniffer plane, the WC-135R Constant Phoenix, launched out of Omaha. That's the Pentagon's nuclear detection aircraft. It's designed to identify nuclear radiation, fallout, or pre-detonation activity. It's rarely ever deployed, and now it's tracking routes over U.S. airspace. What does that mean? Why would they need to put that over U.S. airspace? That's not routine, guys. That's a quiet panic behind the scenes is what that is. Now, Xi Jinping has officially entered the conflict. China's military cargo planes have been shuttling and landed in Iran. Okay, multiple aircrafts are being tracked, flying in with unknown contents. The assumption is military hardware, drone swarms, jammers, radars, tactical AI kits, and satellite link strike gear. Okay, remember, China depends on Iran for 2 million barrels of oil a day. If Iran falls, China loses fuel. So no, this isn't about brotherhood or faith or any of that other nonsense. It's about empire logistics. And while everyone focused on the Middle East, China is setting up something far more dangerous, I believe, along with Iran, right? China owns farmland in the U.S. That's not a conspiracy. It's a battlefield blueprint, right? We got Grand Forks Air Force Base, Laughlin Air Force Base, Fort Cavazos, Camp Pendleton, Fort Liberty, MacDill Air Force Base, Fort Benning. You know, this is a old map, obviously, but you see all the various ones here. Okay. They're not growing corn, ladies and gentlemen. They're not. These plots are positioned strategically near U.S. military infrastructure. The real question is what's buried underground there? DJI drones, sailor jammers, surveillance hardware, launch systems. You don't buy land next to a military base unless you're preparing for phase 2. Okay? Bottom line. And we allowed it to happen, and they're covering the United States. Now, you have to think about this. The U.S. publicly just unveiled a disguised missile launcher right here, hidden in standard shipping containers. Now, this is something we've talked about China. I talked about this 3 years ago. China had these off the shores of the U.S. Now we're showing pictures of them. That's Donald Trump right there. We're talking ATACMS, GMLRS, and future PRSM launch capabilities, all fired from what looks like a freaking Home Depot container, a ship container. Now tell me China hasn't already done this. Tell me that. Tell me one of those containers isn't on a farm in Texas or California, isn't a Trojan horse. They probably got these things lined up all across the country at all of these pieces of land right at military bases. We just showed the world how to hide missiles in plain sight. And our enemies, if they haven't already done it, they're definitely fast learners, especially the Chinese, man. They will re-engineer something in a heartbeat, right? Now, the other thing is that I told you that Tucker Carlson, man, he torched Ted Cruz. And I don't know if you saw that. It's great. You should go watch it. He absolutely torched him. But we have Alex Jones here says Trump attacking Tucker Carlson for not supporting a new world war is not something any sane person should support. Okay. I talked about this last night. Trump then says Tucker apologized.
And it's interesting because I did ask Tucker, I said, well, are you okay with nuclear weapons being in the hands of Iran? And he sort of didn't like that. He didn't want to really, but he sort of didn't like that. And I said, well, if it's okay with you, then you and I do have a difference. But it's really not okay with him. Therefore, you may have to fight. And maybe it'll end, and maybe it'll end very quickly. But there's no way that you can allow, whether you have to fight or not, you can allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon because the entire world will blow up. I'm not going to let that happen.
Mr. President,
I'm going to tell you what I gather from that, reading between the lines. He told Tucker Carlson we have legitimate intelligence that Iran has nuclear weapons. And Tucker's now like, okay, I'll look at this completely different. That's what it means to me. It means to me that Trump shared with Tucker that Iran definitely has nuclear weapons and they're planning to use them. That's the only thing I think that would change Tucker Carlson's mind. Okay, got to be it. I don't believe that he sharing that type of intelligence with him is the smart thing to do, but he probably did it because they're friends. Now, I showed you the video earlier at the start of the show that they're basically threatening. That's a threat. Hey, maybe we're going to use it, which could definitely go kinetic. Donald Trump probably doesn't want to send U.S. soldiers there. So what would he do? Probably an onslaught of attacks. And I don't think there's no way around it. You're going to pull Russia, China into these things. You heard Vladimir Putin said they're very closely aligned. Now, I heard on the media, they said that Vladimir Putin said that, oh, yeah, he's backing away from Iran. Well, you heard him today. He's not. He said their relationship is strong as ever. So take it for what it is. You heard the man himself say it. China's very dependent. China wants to make that move on Taiwan. If China's looking to go for Taiwan, if we get entangled in Iran with Israel, China makes the move. They know that we can't be stretched that far. We've depleted a lot of our weaponry by giving it to Ukraine already. So are we back to the capabilities we need to be? Probably not. If China gets Taiwan, it will be virtually impossible to beat them out technologically. Okay. They will have technological dominance around the globe. So the thing is that a lot of people look at these things because they think that they are not running out the back door with a knapsack and a AR-15 rifle, that everything's okay. I see guys all the time saying, oh man, nothing's happened again today. I can't stand to see that, because whenever people say that, because nothing's happened. Like, hey, have you been living in a hole? Right? Have you been living? Whenever you had Rick twerking in front of your kids in thongs at the library during drag queen story time, that was okay with you? That was we could go down the list, right? It's incredible that people think nothing's happened. Our culture has been literally destroyed overnight. Literally. Military depleted. You forget that the round table up at the Pentagon was full of dudes in skirts and with wigs on. I mean, really, things have went completely off the rails. Meanwhile, funding foreign wars, disastrous pull out of Iraq, just because you're not facing it yourself doesn't mean nothing's happening. In World War II, there was a lot of people that just went to their everyday job every day when World War II was happening. When World War I was happening, a lot of people were waking up, eating breakfast, and going to go work at the factory like nothing was happening. Doesn't mean nothing's happening just because you have to go to work every day. I really think a lot of people just want to cop out and not have to go to work for some reason. They'd rather go run and play Rambo. I don't know. If it gets that bad, you're not going to last that long. I promise you. I can assure you, if you're writing in the comments, nothing's happening, because that means you're completely asleep, that you will not be one that will survive in the Rambo days. You will not be one of those guys. Okay. You may make it 48 hours. It's just the truth. If nothing's happening, it's all clickbait, then you're asleep. And this ain't about oil. It ain't about religion. It ain't about it's about who controls the next century. Iran wants this martyrdom. China wants the throne. And Trump is telling them he's ready to go all in. So you better be ready, man. Because if they pull the trigger on that centuries remembered surprise, the real target will not be overseas. Let's just hope it's not all this farmland and drone storms come out in the middle of the night, and then it is in your backyards. Okay? Because the guys saying clickbait won't make it. They won't make it. Now, I'm going to put my email link below. Go download my 10 Things to Survive Martial Law checklist right now. Just go put in your email on the link page there. Be first in, be ready, be hard to kill, guys. Put the link below. And always remember to stay frosty, stay strapped, and always stay dangerous. Take care.